Hello.
Hello and welcome everyone to our latest monthly QA. For the first time in a while, Jay and I are reunited.
Yeah.
So it's good to be back. It's good to see you guys again. And you can see the Millennium Falcon in the background. our geek credentials. I see that I'm going to try and avoid helping any bingo charts. So there are no stats today. So whoever has that row is not going to have a good time. But other than that, yeah, basically today we really want to just focus on everything that Jay's been working on to do with the rework of the interface. So Jay's going to showcase that, and then from then on we'll take any questions and we'll answer the few questions also that have been asked. So yeah, so I'm going to let Jay dive straight into it. I think I don't want to waste anyone's time. We all know why you're here. And it's not for us.
Let's just make sure everyone, the audio is good, because this is a different setup than what we've had in the past.
Yes, that's
so
true.
I kind of improvised.
That's true.
This is not a technical difficulty. This is a community question.
Yeah.
So for those not aware, in the Discord, there has been a bingo card created. So hop on over to the Discord, go into the live stream questions channel, and then the pinned messages, you'll find a link to this Discord. This bingo card.
Also, for the purposes of clarifying, I control the laptop that has access to Discord and such, and it's under Jay's account. So if you see post by Jay in the next hour, it's me. I'll troll. I'll troll hard. Just be warned.
That's one of the bingo cards. And audio is good. Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Bingo and audio is good. Then let's kind of have a look of what has been done since last time. Last time, we first started showing these changes 2 months ago. And last month, I'd already worked on quite a few, and I've just been hammering out various features since then to make everything work as well as it can. And this is a intermediate step, because a lot of the changes also bring new features, and those will be implemented later. First, we're reworking the interface to make it clearer, and then we'll start working on those new features. Some of them have been implemented. So I can just go straight to screen focus.
Do it.
And this is the new entity view for an entity with a small description. As you can see, the left, any information on the left is gone. It's now, we have pins. We also have, this will always be displayed, this box. And we have a helper text to explain that you can pin stuff to make it clearer for new users, because that is a question which comes up a lot. We've, through analysis based on user feedback and where people are clicking, we can see that most entities which are updated, it's usually the description, the entry field. So now this is done through here with just a simplified interface. We might add the entity's name here, but for the moment it's just the description with full support of mentions and other stuff. But it just simplifies how we see most users use Kanka when updating an entity, is to edit the description. This interface also brings now entity notes are now core focus. That's what he showed last time. So let's
just type wildly.
Perfect. And let's just save. Now we have the entity notes down here below the entry, and we have a new interface. I'm not sure if I showed this last time, if it was ready or not. But I can reorder entity notes rather than using a position field. It is now a visual interface. So if there were several entities, we could all reorder them, and this works on desktop and mobile. Going back here, we have some quick action buttons to collapse all entity notes or expand. Still working out if this should also apply for the entry field to kind of have a quick overview of all the entity notes. And at the bottom, we have mentioned entity, where we have the information is mentioned in one entity, entity notes or campaigns. View detail loads this old interface, which will also rework at some point. Part of our reorganization is focusing on what's important, and we've realized that the story view with the entry and the entity notes and relations are the two things which are most filled out for every entity, and what people seem to use Kanka the most for, which in our eyes makes sense. Those are the most useful features. Relations, this is still going to be, there's still some work in progress to be done here. We will have also two buttons up here to switch between the table view and also the entity, the Relations Explorer, which is a boosted campaign feature. Drink. This also changes, and we'll have some more options for it. This is still a work in progress. This loads more information. For example, there's more information, oops, wrong direction with the mouse. There's more information loaded here than just the relations, and this has always been the case with organizations and families, but this also loads more information, like, I think this is a bad example here, but for example, if there is an item which this user was the creator of, in the items entity there is a character field. So if there was an item, I can quickly show that. Or Ivy Gemstone. So in her relations, I have this item. So I will now know from here, this is somehow related without having to go into one of the million subfolders or submenus. And these will also, with time, disappear. We'll be merging them all into a relations or connections page. But this is the V2. V1 is focusing on the story page and reworking the menu. All entities now have a profile page, which is this information like the title, age, gender, etc., which is useful, but not the focus of how people use Kanka. This is important to have, especially to refresh your memory, but usually this isn't where... I think a user started getting drunk.
There will actually be a question, but I'll let you go forward a bit more, and then I'll fire away the questions.
And so the question, one of the things which wasn't clear from last live stream was, I want to edit the name or edit the location. How do I go to the old form from here? And so next to profile, there's this edit button, which brings you to the old form, entity, complete form, like if you are editing or creating a new entity. Right. Not to mention it, visual tweaks.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is still a work in progress, is perhaps not the right word. It's already on our QA server, but there are still tweaks being made to this. Yeah. We were just discussing, actually, before it started, what a realistic date for general release would be. And tomorrow, 8 a.m. and just putting some pressure. No, hopefully some point this week, I think, maybe late in the week.
It's Sunday, so probably the upcoming week.
Well, yes, well, you get what I mean.
I am not in a healthy enough state to...
But I think, before anyone dies of old age, I'm actually going to take a quick break to ask a few questions. The first question that we had was about the entity nodes, and if there is a cap on the amount of entity nodes that we can have on an entity.
No. And this is something which still has to be built, because at the moment it will load all entity nodes, and Chaos OS, for example, has an entity with, I think, 120 entity nodes. So we'll have to build a loading, like it will load 10, and then at the bottom there's a load more interface that still needs to be built, because 100, and there are several entities in the database with many entity nodes. Like 40 is a number I've seen several times. So yeah, confused, but I just see the number. I haven't looked. I know when to look at the actual content. I just see a number and say 40 entity nodes. That seems
like
a lot, but sure, you do you.
And Jacob was asking, does anyone really use the item creator field with this purpose? Or Or just do it. I do it just since Jay mentioned it.
Yeah, so this is from before inventories. So this was the idea of how we could link items to characters, but then the problem was this dagger of darkness can only be linked to one character. So this, I think, should be changed, the word character, to creator, or if it's a item which is very important, then it makes sense to put this information in to be able to filter, because you can filter, okay, character, we'll probably have 0 results, but I know there's an item, an important item with this important NPC attached to it, so you can find it this way. But for the most part, people just use the inventory and not the character field on items.
Great. While we're still on the subject of questions, there was another one actually related to the relationships. Will it be possible to filter what type of relationships are visible in the relationships map view?
So yeah, we're planning. There's no design yet for this. These are all like bullet points on a Word document to be able to, like on the entity view, the story view of Emily here, with the collapse and expand, like having some options here to quickly filter what is shown in the relation explorer. And that would be, there's several ways we can do this. We're not quite sure yet how it will look or how it will work. The two obvious ones are just relations and then anything related. So for a character, it would be family members, organization members, items, and also mentions would also be an option to see in what entity is this entity mentioned. So these are some of the options we're thinking about. But again, this is for future improvements.
Great.
One other thing which has changed, I think. No, we had abilities, reminders, attributes. Attributes are now in a separate tab, and this improves performance quite substantially on big entities with lots of attributes. I know people like having the attributes on the main story page, but that's a minority of users, and this just makes the app faster, because suddenly we don't have to load a load of attributes and cross-reference everything. It's now in a separate attributes page, and here on the top we have the action buttons, and this will still also get changed at some point.
I think I'm just going to jump in for 1 second, relating to a question that was asked actually a while ago by Karen Ampos about the redesign and whether we see it happening piecemeal or in one large update push. I think what we're saying right now very much answers that. It's going to be a bunch of updates.
Yeah.
If we did one update push, you guys would be waiting for about 6 months before, the whole website was redesigned, and it just we wouldn't be able to get the continual feedback on the tweaks that need to be made and improvements that need to be made as we move forwards.
Yeah. Because a lot of this redesign is based on assumptions from the survey we sent.
Yeah.
And this will be tweaked more because we're still, that process is still ongoing. So there's more feedback coming in for things we are going to change, and we don't know them yet. It depends on the feedback we get from the community.
Of course. We've actually started doing a few live interviews, so a few lucky users were considered to be sort of unusual, perhaps more unusual cases, and we wanted to spend.
Yeah, I see here kilobytes per second is struggling. I think it's just the Wi-Fi. Is it better now?
Oh, you should have told me. I would have given you the cable.
Nope. Okay, it might just be for some people. No technical difficulties, no drinking.
What was I saying? Damn, I completely lost my train of thought here. What? Obviously, it wasn't too important.
Yeah, feedback from the community.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Yes, sorry, Jay. Thank you. So yeah, there are a few cases, a few users that were a bit. I don't know if unusual is the word, but we wanted to get a bit more used. Kanka, because their answers intrigued us, and so we've started doing a few of those interviews, and there are more to come. So for those of you, well, for the one of you that has already participated, thank you again. For those who have replied and will be participating next week and the week after, thank you. And there will perhaps be more of you that we ask to take half an hour to an hour to just kind of show us how it works. Yeah, I'm sorry, Karen Ampas. It's true. Like, we're not facing any technical difficulties. Twitch is working. Like, you're here. This is not going to be a fun. There are no stats for me to get excited about. There's not going to be a.
Well, there is one thing I can mention at the end of this. Just to get everyone drinking, of course.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, there are definitely tweaks being made, and there are changes that are going to continue to be made. So yeah, one big push didn't make sense.
Yeah, there was a question from Beef Potato. Will pinned attributes still appear on the main page? Absolutely. So if I go and apply, make an attribute, make it pinned, save, go back to the story page, it is still here. So pins still work the same way. It's just all the attributes aren't automatically loaded in a tab on the main page anymore. Which, especially with attribute templates from the marketplace and attributes which cross-reference each other, just added quite a strain. A lot of times for something which wasn't needed on this story page. The story page is now the focus on the story, and we're splitting off other parts into the sub-pages to make the interface clearer. Oh yeah, Beef Potato. Does the 120 entity nodes on a single entity count as cool stats?
I guess technically, though, did I get excited about it? That's the real question. Okay. Yes, Jacob, that does count. Okay, anyway, let's not get sidetracked too much, because as much as this is a lot of fun, Jay still has a few things he wants to show us. I think.
So with this new header, I won't be able to show it properly. Wait, this might go terribly wrong. Yeah, you see the image.
Oh, this is sexy.
Is growing with the size, and it's now a fixed aspect ratio of 1.1. And with this is something I'm currently working on, which might go live, I hope, next week already. Is in the image, the image servers who create thumbnails, there is a system to automatically detect faces, which should work, and that's what I'm trying to put in place, because I thought a long time about allowing an interface where you select manually, and now there is this option that I'm trying to configure without crashing the image servers, to allow it to automatically detect where's a face and focus on that, to avoid a lot of users being unhappy with thumbnails, because it just takes in the middle at the moment, which for characters is kind of mostly useless if the head is at the top. So that's something which I haven't told you, but something I'm working on.
I mean, you haven't told me you worked on, but we've been speaking about this for a while.
Yeah. I'll just have to see exactly performance-wise how much it impacts, and then if we just need to add a few more image servers generating thumbnails, but that's not a problem.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do that if we need to.
Yes. Yeah. So this new interface, and here we have all the actions. They've kind of stayed the same, and there's also work planned to redo some of these. The PDF exports for the moment, now that all the content is split on several pages, doesn't make much sense, and this will be reworked separately once this new interface is released. But there's the actions and this small lock. We had in the old system a button up here to change directly if it's private or not, and realized that no one was clicking on it, or practically no one, so that's been removed, and now it's a small helper text. And this will be also expanded in the future to include who currently can see this entity, or which roles can see this entity.
Yeah, so just some clarification here, asking about also face detection and what happens to pictures without a face. I think it's not so much face detection as it is just centering, right?
No, there's face detection. If it doesn't find a face, the fallback is finding features.
Okay.
And I can send links to the documentation to this in the Discord in development talk, because it's quite cool how it figures it out. What, removing the log? Yeah, sorry, Jacob. Like, this feature was, but we're going to change this to add a other set of actions in the future to quickly change permissions from here.
Yeah, it'll be one of those changes that's coming hopefully soon.
Yeah. I can show it from the design documents. The idea, no, it's gone from this interface. Was it in profile?
It's here, isn't it? Is it better?
No. Okay, it's disappeared from the mockups. But there is plans to make this whole. Yeah, it is planned.
Yeah, it's a temporary removal. Of the lock. It's not a bye-bye.
Yeah. And let's, for boosted campaigns, under the boost tab, there's the header image. So if I go and select a image somewhere, perfect. Just kind of show how it looks. It will change the text to white with a slight shadow. Results will vary. We'll figure out something to make it perfect. But basically, that's how it looks with a background image.
I'm liking this.
Another thing that because this header, and we talked last time during the live stream about making it only for characters at first and kind of making it progressively for everyone. And that was an absolute nightmare to build. Was that clicking through Kanka to find the right page? No, I knew where I was clicking.
Stop being distracted by the chat. Don't worry, I got it. I will tell you if there's anything.
So this new interface is now for this new header, and system is now for everyone, because it just was a bit of a mess to then change. And for a location, it will show the parent location, and if there is a parent location, it will also show that. Gone wrong. No, I'm not finding an example. So that would be a bingo of trying to find the right page. Maps also changes a tiny bit, where we have the explore button now on the top, because most of the time you just want to explore. And I see there's still this up here, so it's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
What else can I show? Calendars with pins is something I wasn't sure how to work on. So pins here on calendars will still show up here before the menu, because calendars need as much width as they can. So limiting that kind of was annoying. So making the calendars were too narrow. So that's why pins are up here. And this is still something I have to discuss with Rick, designing all of this. And I think that's about it. And yeah, every kind of entity has this profile page, like I said. So here it says the type, suffix, current date, parent calendar. So this information, which is mostly used to filter, if you're on the calendars and you want to find something by filtering it, these are more filtered fields, which is why they're no longer so prominent on entity. Is that? I'll need to fix that. Was there any question in particular?
It's just all bingo talk.
Okay. And I think that's basically it right now. Notes. Oh, internet died. Internet is back. Single currencies first. This will not be a good example. Why is there still some of these fields? I must have forgotten to clear the cache on the QA server. So yeah, that's basically what I've been working on. Still a few things to change, to work on. but it's slowly taking shape for release, hopefully mid and next week.
Great.
Yeah.
I guess now floor is open to any further questions if there are any. I will also add that we expected to talk exactly this long. So let's break a few more bingo dreams. But yeah, otherwise, like, I think it's pretty much it.
Yeah, the stats I just wanted to mention is we've recently crossed 80,000 accounts created, which we didn't announce in the Discord, but I saw that the other day.
Sure.
So 80,000 people have created an account. A couple thousand of those are bots, but still a nice number to celebrate.
Yeah, all those crypto bots.
Yeah, buy Bitcoin bots. Those were interesting to stop them from creating thousands of accounts in a day.
I mean, we should just, clarify is perhaps not the right word, but it's a total amount of accounts created. It's not active accounts. I wish it was active accounts.
Yeah, no, these are created accounts. Most of them are inactive, but we still have some very nice numbers. And in 3 months, October in 4 months, there'll be the 4 years of Kanka, so big update on stats then.
Yeah, that would be big. So there's an unrelated question, which is about you changing your hair, and the answer is yes.
Yes, I've changed my hair once again, shaved it on the sides.
Okay. How did the intern do? The intern's still with us, actually. He hasn't left.
Yeah, he's just having his exams right now.
Yeah, so he's not been as present lately, but he will be with us until somewhere around the 7th to 10th of July. I can't remember the exact date, but somewhere around there. Perhaps to be extended if he wants to, and if we want to. I think on our end so far, it's gone very well. The feedback I've gotten is very positive. I don't work with him very much. It's mostly Jay. But
no, work has been going great with him. He's managed to understand the chaos that is the Kanka source code really well. There's no drawn-out silence. No, it's been going very well, and he's been working on some smaller tickets to kind of get into the project. In the next release, there is a small update to conversations, which, as you all know, is a deprecated module, but there was this small ticket and it allowed him to see some features which I wanted him to have a look at to see how badly I had done. So he did something there. He's working on some map improvements, just the forms and the workflows of maps. Also timeline elements to no longer be able to submit several times a form when you're adding an element to the timeline.
He's been making himself useful, I think, is the short end of it.
Yeah. I think that's it for that. Shaolampos, beef conversations. This is madness.
Yeah.
It was a ticket which was in the backlog since a few years, and I thought it made sense to have him work on it to see, because the conversations module, to go technical for a bit, is built in Vue.js, which is a technology to make more interactive interfaces, and it was the first module I built with Vue.js in Kanka. Or I updated to Vue.js a year or so ago, just to get a hang of it, because I want to use that more in Kanka to make some interfaces more dynamic and load faster. And so he has experience with Vue.js, so I gave him this ticket so he could see how I built the module and then kind of write me a 10-page essay on how to improve everything. So it's been a learning experience for both of us. I can say that much.
I don't know that I would recommend using conversations. It's still deprecated.
Yeah, the feature is, because it's in the Trello board, an open tool, it's to be able to mark a conversation as closed or archived. So you can still access it, but no new messages can be written.
And actually, on the topic of conversations, we have a question. How obnoxious would it be to resurrect the conversations module and provide support to integrate with Discord?
It's just not something I'm really interested in building.
So that means you just have to give me time to convince him.
Or we hire someone to build it. Because this,
Yeah.
I mean, if we were to build Discord bots, which, it's just something, it would be a lot of work, but not a lot of users, really. I'd rather build a Discord bot or improve Arconic's Discord bot to give updates in the Discord when something has been updated, rather than doing something with the conversations module. Yeah, Beef sounds like a community project, because this could all be done with the API. It would just, you'd have to pull the API fairly frequently, or once every couple of minutes, just get any updates on the campaign or conversation.
Yeah. I guess the best answer is always, if we're not sure or we don't know if it's something that might appeal, then the community vote is always the way to go. We will actually have a new community vote at the end of June.
Yeah.
So maybe if we run out of ideas, then that can make it to the community vote. This bingo is
spot on. I love our community. Drink.
So yeah. I think that bingo aside, are there any other questions? Are there any other questions, bingo aside?
Maybe to give some insight on the next updates to this redesign. It is summer holiday for Rick.
Yep.
And so with a family and everything, just means a bit less update from his end, probably. Yep. But it is not the situation we had before where the person disappears. So no one worry if it goes a bit slower. This will be the first update, and we have plenty to work on for small improvements. And then we shall work on the community vote for next month. At the end of the month.
Yeah, and even just Rick's obviously been very available and done a lot of incredible work. And even if it slows down a bit, I think that's that's perfectly all right. There is still so much that we'll need to integrate following the feedback that we get on the first batch of changes to the interface. That will surely, that on top of the community votes, will keep us busy for a while. And then hopefully by sort of late August, you'll see the second big batch of changes and improvements that come to the interface. And yeah.
Beef Potato has an interesting question. How obnoxious is our fixation with calendars and me with languages? Is it too bad? Then we might be able to tone it down a bit. No, don't worry. There's all fun and games, and I've survived my face becoming a emoji on the Discord, so...
I'm very jealous. That's what I can say. I'm just not... I'm not emojiable.
The language module, seriously, if it is something the community wants, make a actual feature request with what it needs, and that can be a community vote at some point. Because if you want languages, I need to know what you want, because just languages as a module, it's like telling me you want gods or religion as a module, and without any more insight in what kind of fields or what kind of functionality it would have. If a new module has a set of requirements and the kind of fields and how it would doesn't have to tell how it would look, but what are the features in this module, what should it be able to do, then it's something we can talk about internally and then as a community vote. But for calendars, don't. No feature request. There are enough.
No. There's actually a legit question, which is: is there any sorts of new feature you really want to implement, but to use the common phrase, isn't really within the scope of Kanka?
So to have people drink again, that is a question which was asked previously. I don't remember our answer.
Was this asked before?
Like something cool, but we can't do either for technical. Well, it was more for technical reasons.
No, I mean, personally, I don't think there's anything that, because like, you know, the scope of Kanka has also changed, I think, is the easy answer. I know that Jay has this vision in his mind, but we've also adapted based on what the community has asked for and what we have thought the right direction has been as well. So I don't think there's like a set in stone scope of Kanka. I think the scope of Kanka evolves, and if we really want something, or the community really wants something, then that just naturally fits within the scope of Kanka. I think that's a fair...
Yeah, for me, like my biggest gripe is the way the database is structured, which just makes it, some of the feature requests which sound cool, and I agree with, it would just require taking the app down, doing a multi-hour migration, and then hoping it works. And those are just things which... me, just on my own, I don't feel comfortable doing, even with the amazing QA team. I feel like some of these features, like being able to put entities in multiple locations, is a frequent request, or families or races. Like it makes sense that these things aren't in a single place, but changing the old system to the new system is just something I'd feel more comfortable doing in tandem with another developer.
Breaking less things.
Yeah. And also you have the case where you transform a family back into a character, as you can do, and what happens. Yeah, there are many small features which sound small on paper, but just the way the app is built, and because all the entities are kind of similar, I have a lot of systems which kind of one piece of code applies for everything and kind of decides what to do, and to simplify my life and fix bugs faster. But like these big changes between different entity types, like one has one location, another has multiple, it would, yeah, it just means more work, a lot more work.
Another question, actually, are there any sort of potential partnerships on the horizon, or that you would like to form, or would you like to keep the tool entirely independent indefinitely? Well, that's a good one, actually. I mean, of course, we haven't prepared this question because it's just come up, so our answers might be different. I'm not opposed to partnerships. I think it's all about Kanka's best interest, right? So if there's a partnership that is better for us and better for you guys, then yes, that would make sense. I don't know that there's a need for a partnership for the sake of a partnership.
Yeah, we're not scouting the internet finding potential partnerships at this point. It would be more people come to us and we feel like it makes sense. We've had some various conversations to various degrees with people, but the furthest we went was with looking for gm.com.
Yeah. And there were some integrations that were made, but I think, like, especially back then, because that was a year ago, wasn't it?
It was over a year.
Over a year ago. I think at that point, like, there was too much we needed to focus on just internally on Kanka, and so we didn't necessarily have the time to sort of invest in properly developing that partnership and properly making use of each other's systems. So there was definitely the will to make something happen, but perhaps not the abilities. That might change. That might be different if it were to happen today. Well, that would probably be different if it were to happen today. But yeah, we've not sort of actively been scouring for partnerships. We've been, as Jay said, we've been approached for a couple of things, and there are a few sort of side mentions or side partner. Well, not like partnerships, but just sort of cross promotions that have been made with a few users. But nothing major. It's, once again, it's not that it doesn't fit within our vision or that we're opposed to it. It's just it's not really happened yet. Yeah. And so follow up on that, actually. Would you have a dream partner from your side, even if they are far-fetched?
Like, I think something like Critical Role would be nice, just having them use Kanka as the official wiki instead of their own wiki platform. But I understand why that won't happen, because the wiki platform belongs to Curse, which also the company is what belongs D&D Beyond with, and that's their partnership, I believe. So that probably won't happen, but that would be really cool, just to get a lot of eyes on Kanka. Like, insane amount of visibility.
Yeah, that would be.
I remember when World Anvil sponsored a episode, and their servers, I think, crashed because there were just too many critters will just spam go to a website and crash it. So yeah, that'd be nice, but it'd also be a nightmare to prepare for only 40,000, 50,000 concurrent users.
I'm always a bit scared personally, actually, like that suddenly Kanka will explode, and as Kanka's always evolving and we're making a lot of changes, especially now that we're making a lot of changes with the interface, I'm always scared that we get a massive wave of users not at the perfect time. But I think that's something I've just kind of had to get over, because there's never going to be a perfect time. There's always something we're going to be working on, some improvements that need to be made or some changes that need to be made. And so yeah, that's perhaps from my perspective why I've been a bit afraid. My phrase, well, yeah, no, let's go with afraid. Apprehensive, yeah, probably a better word, but apprehensive for partnerships. But yeah, Critical Role would be pretty damn cool. Like, just trying to picture it right now, and like, yeah, that'd be pretty insane.
Yeah, Valdu had a great comment in the Discord. I want to see a Sam Regal and sponsored by Kanka. That would be yeah, that wouldn't make sense. But just like us working full time on Kanka doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's the kind of thing which then happens, and you're like, huh, what happened in life that became a sentence which would be said.
And Jacob, to answer your question, reaching out to smaller YouTubers and starting with them, I do have like two sort of what we could call embryo partnerships going on right now. They just haven't really yielded the results that I was hoping for. One has been, well, it was our first one. It was an attempt. It's someone we quite like as a person. He's always been very supportive of the project. He really likes Kanka, and he was kind of our guinea pig. And that helped us, set up an interface. Like, this is not actually something that's necessarily public knowledge, but we have an influencer interface where we can create personalized links for power users who want to sort of advertise Kanka, and then we can track what they do and how many accounts are created with their links, and if those accounts become subscribers and such. And the first one is someone that I personally like very much, but I guess that his following was perhaps a bit too small, so it hasn't really led to much. And the second one is a more recent attempt, and we're still waiting. Well, I'm still waiting to see what eventually comes of that attempt. But for now, there have been a few accounts created, but it tends to be still very small. So I don't know, like, to answer your question, there has been some reaching out for smaller, not necessarily YouTubers, but influencers within the scene, some on YouTube, some not on YouTube. And we're kind of just feeling our way forwards and understanding how we can make that work better, because so far it hasn't worked very well. That's the best way I can put it.
Ornstein has a nice / troll question, so drink. But what about there's some Everwhere live stream? And if this is something which we would, I think that'd be cool, but it's not necessarily something where we don't have the experience or the setup to help put that in place, other than knowing how to click a few buttons in OBS. But if it's something the community wants to do, that'd be pretty awesome. Just one for showcasing, again, awesome stuff the community does, and then using Kanka as the backbone for it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. And also, just in general, any content creation that involves or includes Kanka. I know that some people have in the past made videos about how they use Kanka, why they use Kanka, and like anything like that is always going to be welcome. And if any of you feel like you could make use of a like a referral link or whatnot, feel free to get in touch with me. I'm never going to say no. It doesn't take it takes a whole 2 minutes for me to create your referral link and then to set you off in the world to see what you can do with it. We are actually thinking of making referral links something by default, something I've been bugging Jay about more recently, but it's not like our #1 priority right now. Because yeah, as I say, I have to manually create them, and I'm hoping that at some point this year, it'll be just by default, everyone will have their own sort of referral link or invitation link. Yeah. So I hope I gave you guys the material to make a googly eyes face from me. But jokes aside and troll questions aside, is there anything else that you would like to know, or any further questions that you might have?
I'd just like to do a call to action to the community where we put in announcements during the week that we're looking for people to join the blog to kind of set up a whole documentation there, which is something which has come up quite a few times in the past 2 months, that there is a serious lack of documentation for Kanka.
Yeah.
So if you want to help with that, contact us and we'll set up a Discord role and set you up with, try and set that up to the community can create a documentation which would be up to date, which would have less spelling mistakes than what I could produce.
Another question actually has come up about what our thoughts are on something like a DM's Guild campaign setting with a link to a public Kanka version or something similar, or is that a legal nightmare?
I believe someone was planning to do something like that a while ago, and then we never heard back. Like if people want to create paid content on DM's Guild and then add additional free content on a public Kanka campaign, like there's nothing stopping them, and we're not, as long as we don't get a DMCA request for content in that campaign, we're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah. Actually, so just touching on a few things, Jacob, the community event. So the community event is still running right now. Cust events. There is, we haven't yet announced the winner for the past one. We've not been super organized with events, I will grant you that, but Cust event is still running for another 2 days, I believe.
I'm trying to load it.
Will it show the end date on that, or do we need to go?
I'm going until the 15th.
Yeah, so that will be going until for another 2 days, and we will announce. I actually like this. The sad thing is, I have the tallies. Oh, 6 entries. That's nice. That's a new record.
Very nice.
I actually have the score for the previous one on my computer, which you can't see, which is over there in the corner. So I will update that soon. And we also realized that we hadn't necessarily been making the winning campaigns public. Well, like
featured.
Showcase it featured, exactly, that's one. So that's also something that Jay's got to do. But
They'll be taken care of tomorrow.
We'll take care of that in soon, and I'll announce the winners as well. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who. We'll do translation of the blog. Honestly, unlikely. I think.
Our translators already have enough work with translating Kanka, and
the problem when it comes to relying on the advantage and the problem of relying on the community for translations is that we have managed to translate Kanka into a whole bunch of languages that weren't necessarily originally planned. But it does mean that sometimes our translators might disappear, and then that content becomes quite quickly outdated. We had on Discord recently someone who speaks Brazilian Portuguese who wasn't too happy with the state of the translations because our translator has been MIA for a few months. And of course, like, because they do it at their own time, it's not something where we can follow up or request that it be put up to date. So it's already difficult enough to just kind of stay up to date and stay on top of things when it concerns Kanka, the website. I don't think the blog is feasible. Perhaps in the future date we choose 1 or 2 languages and stick to those, perhaps the major ones, and make sure that content is systematically translated. It's a very much a perhaps, not something that's likely, and not something that would happen anytime soon. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Go on to the
back to the webcam focus.
Webcam focus.
It'll be easier for
the googly eyes.
The googly eyes, John.
I can also do this, just so everyone has to drink.
Oh,
I don't know if they saw that.
Well, they will. Another question: given the international community, how feasible would it be to add support for language-specific entities, i.e., the same entity but different entries based on the user's current language?
Not. How would it be able to support the language? Not in the scope of Kanka.
Bingo.
No, we've said that before, so that's already been. Jacob saw it. Very nice. You saw it. It counts. Yes, beef potato. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Just not in the. Like, if you want to do that, you could use entity.
Does Caroline Post not know we are in the same room?
I mean,
or is he trolling?
it's the. Yes. Double bingo. Yeah, multiple language. If you want to have an entity in multiple languages, your best bet is to use entity notes and maybe custom CSS to kind of.
Okay, right. This is devolving into a bit too much trolling for anyone else who would ever want to watch this video. So I'm going to give 30 seconds more for any serious questions. And otherwise, I'm happy for those who've completed the bingo. But yeah, languages. Yeah, it definitely adds a level of complexity that we have so many languages. That's the one thing I will say about that. And it definitely is something we're very proud of. We're, I believe, the only ones who have this many options when it comes to languages, or even just more options than just English. That's not something we change, but it definitely adds layers of complexity and making sure that it's still always up to date and always translated. Because, as I say, regularly, by no fault of their own, of course, but our translators just kind of disappear. Yeah, great. That's a great conclusion. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in.
Joining, and we'll see you next month.
We will see everyone in a month, and good luck making those smiley faces.
Bye bye. Take care.
Take care.